You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 92. Today is March 19, 2023, and my guest today again is Marlena.
Hey, Andy. How are you?
I'm good, Marlena. Just got home from church and haven't even changed out of my monkey suit.
I know. You look so nice. I wouldn't call it a monkey suit.
My boys and I always call it a monkey suit. It's like we're trained.
I like it.
We're trained
if
monkeys.
My son can dress like that every day, he'd do it.
Well, I never dress. I used to dress like this. It wasn't until we went to court that I started dressing like this, and I like it. And that I've always believed in. Ever since I've been going to church, I believed in if you can dress like this for the club, you should be able to dress like this for God. So I don't preach religion. Just saying what I do. I do want to start off this podcast by remembering my buddy Scotty. I completely forgot last episode that last week, 4 years ago, he passed away. This guy was a good friend of mine, a friend to a lot of people. He, just in the 5 years of knowing him, he pretty much, he touched our hearts. He's a good man. He was a good man, and I know everyone that knows him that's been on the podcast, that comes on the podcast, they talk about him, and I know they all miss him dearly. And Scotty, 4 years, buddy, you haven't been forgotten.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so glad that you have a way to remember him and have memories and stories. And I think that's what an honor to be able to have this today's series be dedicated to him.
Every time I have a guest that come on that knows him, that knew him, we have to get into a topic about him. So, yeah, I completely forgot. You know what? I didn't forget last week. I just forgot to say it out loud. So I don't know if you noticed. Right after we stopped recording, I posted an image of him on my Instagram and Facebook because I was like, it was there. I just forgot to say it out loud on the podcast. But I try my best to honor or to remember the people that we've lost. Every time we go to Ventura County to visit friends and family, the first thing I do is I make my rounds to the cemeteries first. So pretty much Santa Paula, where Scotty's at, I'll visit him, and then I'll go to the cemetery in Oxnard. And there's sadly a brother there, my grandparents, my uncle, that we go visit, and then I believe my grandfather's mother's also there. So we make our rounds. We try my best.
Mm-hmm.
I try to take what my grandpa used to do for his son's grave, and I try to do the same. I tripped out because the last time we went was in November, and that was the first time me seeing my brother in the first time in over 10 years, and sadly he was in the ground. And so I'm wiping down his tombstone and wiping it down with water to make it, and I can't hold my tears. I start to cry. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a real close relationship with him because, like I said, my grandparents raised him since he was an infant. So, and I didn't see him for 4 years, and then after, as an adult, he chose a dark path, and obviously drugs and alcohol were a big part of his life, and I didn't really know him, and every time he came around, he came down, and we couldn't really keep him around because he would take stuff, so
yeah. I'm all too familiar with that story.
So when I got the call that he had passed away, I didn't really know what to do. I had no relationship with this guy, but when I went to the cemetery to clean his grave, I started choking up. I started crying, and then I text my brother Danny, who he grew up with, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm a total mess when I go down there too." I'm like, "I believe it, man." So, yeah, we always, like I said, we try our best to respect our loved ones by swinging by and seeing them first, and like I said, we make our rounds Santa Paula first, and then Oxnard.
That's beautiful. I was actually back in my hometown for my birthday. My birthday was Tuesday, but went there on Wednesday because I had my kids get their hair cut. I didn't trust anybody over here. I was like, hands down, better go home where I know it works. But I didn't want them to mess up. But I have a hard time going to my grandmother's grave. She always said, she's like, que no me vienen a ver cuando estoy viva, que no me vienen a ver cuando estoy muerta. She's
Right.
like, you don't be crying over on my grave, you know, you see me when I'm alive, or no me están trayendo rosas cuando ya estoy muerta, you know, me enterraron, you know, whatever. She's like, that's what she would always say. So you come see me when I'm alive, and if you didn't, then, you know, that's on you. So I know I spent a lot of time with her, but always having that in the back of my head doesn't mean that I don't go there. I know she's not there, and even if I want to, like, I just can't bring myself to go. And I always remind myself, like, Mom, we need to go. And I always tell myself, okay, we're going to go visit, or we're going to go say bye. And I always make excuses why we didn't go.
Right.
And that's something that I need to change moving forward, because I think that's a beautiful thing, like, to be able to do. And I just haven't brought myself to be able to do it yet.
Well, yesterday I mentioned to you that we were pretty busy. So yesterday, my wife's family decided to. Well, I always say my wife's family to explain which family I'm talking about. I mean, they're my family too, but I always say my wife's family because to specify who I'm talking about. So their grandmother passed away, sadly, 4 months to the date after my grandmother passed away, and yesterday her birthday was on Friday, which is also the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
So this Friday would have been her birthday, but it was her first birthday without her.
Yeah.
So pretty much I call them the adults, meaning my mother-in-law and her siblings, the adults, and their husbands and wives. We all got together at the cemetery to pretty much celebrate her life by doing things that she used to do in the community. So she used to go to Home Depot and used to take homemade tortas to the people waiting for work.
Aww.
So they made tortas, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother-in-law and one of her sisters and two of her sisters were making tortas for everybody. And then they brought like her favorite, like, seeds and just pretty much we chowed down on items that she enjoyed in her life, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was so cool to see, you know, a lot of my wife's uncles there. And one of her uncles was right away, hey, man, what did I do to you, man? You don't come to the desert no more to visit me? Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the story on the podcast before about the desert. When the wife and I said I do, everyone told me, you break your heart, we have a desert. And I didn't know what that meant until I went to the desert. They can pretty much hide my body anywhere.
Oh, my gosh.
And I won't be found. I won't be found.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm like, so where's the property line? Oh, there is none. We can hide you anywhere. And
no.
So that uncle was there, and he was like, again, he always says the first thing he says, like, what did I do to you? What did I do to you? So it was pretty cool to see, because the moment she passed away, obviously, the first thing siblings do is they start bumping heads, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was pretty cool it was pretty cool to see more than 90% of them there together and pretty much putting the BS to the side for one day to celebrate their mother. And this lady we were at Mass today, and the first thing that came to mind was my wife's grandmother, because she helped so many kids in the community do their first Holy Communion. She teach them, she trained them, she got them ready without even charging a dime. My understanding, without even charging a dime. So, this lady was known over here, and so it was pretty cool to see everybody at the cemetery yesterday. And my son at one point got bored, so he got my camera and he started like, just go ahead, knock yourself out. Aww. And he would take photos. I was editing some photos yesterday, so I got pretty distracted. And then after that we went to my mother-in-law's house, and we were there pretty much till like 6 o'clock. So I'm like, I'm definitely not recording it today.
Well, no, you're okay. I was recovering anyway. I think I slept all day yesterday because I was feeling kind of crappy. But no, that's beautiful. I went to my mom's over the week. And that was one of my things, was to go and visit my grandmother's grave, and I didn't do it. We take artificial plants because you can't take real plants out there anymore. Yeah, because the way that they have it, the groundskeeper, you know, it used to be where you could take real flowers, you could actually plant things. Now they got it really, you know, you can't take too much things out there. But don't they throw
them away once a week?
Well, I think they don't have anybody to do that. So I think that, like, you have to take care of the property.
That's why that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so my mom does all that still, but I haven't. I wish it was like that. When my grandmother passed away, it was a beautiful moment. I didn't get to make it. I made it. I was driving from Dallas to Brady, and I missed saying goodbye by 30 minutes. I was in Brownwood, and my mom was on her way to go pick me up, and I was like, "Mom, I'm in Brownwood. because I had a friend drive me. That was the furthest we were going to go, was Brownwood. My mom was going to pick me up, and it was like 30 minutes away. And my mom's like, okay, I'm on my way. Well, then she called me back. She's like, Neha, I can't. Grandma's gone. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So went all the way back up there. And I always talk about my grandma raising me. She always said that I was her daughter. And anybody you met, she'd always say, well, Marlena's my daughter. I raised her. She's my daughter.
Yeah.
And one of the things that hurt me is that one of my aunts was like, I wanted this tablecloth. It was like a mantel. It was like a horse. And my grandma cherished it. And I wanted it. And it was like the one thing that I kind of wanted to take. And, you talk about everybody fighting and everybody wanting stuff. And she was like, you need to give that to me because you're not her daughter. And I was like, but I am. Like, she called, like, you ask anybody. I was always her daughter. She made me cry. And I was just like, you're a jerk. And, like, anybody, she would, like, from little. And that makes me upset that I am upset still to this day because she's like, what did I ever do to you? I'm like, you literally, like, didn't even let me mourn her the way that I would have loved to.
Yeah,
you took that from me.
Because my grandmother lived in El Paso and I was only there for like 48 hours. I told my brother Danny and my brother Albert, who lives in the house, was like, hey, look, man, you have support right now. You have me, you have Danny, you have my other two brothers that are here to help you pack as much as possible. And we're only pretty much, because for the past like 10, 11 years, she was already giving stuff away back to
That's how she was too. She was already dividing everything. And she didn't have much to give anyway. But she was like, these pictures are this person's, or this is so-and-so. This person bought me this. They should take it back. And most of the stuff my mom had bought her, like all her clothes my mom bought her. Everything she owned in that house my mom bought her. I mean, from her underwear my mom bought her. Everything. And I was asking for a mantel. A mantel of horses.
Yeah, so that's
because my daughter, I was just like, okay.
So that's what we started doing, right? We started doing that, and we started collecting stuff. We started packing stuff. My main priority was photos because photos are the first things that get lost, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What bothered me was the day of the viewing, I was getting calls from cousins, uncles, nephews, and hey, there's so and so items there. There's so and so items there. There's this there. There's some tools there, and blah 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 blah, right? And like my brother Danny was like, BS. They wouldn't come check on her while she was alive. So why all of a sudden that she's gone, they want to claim things that are not, that are technically now her grandsons, like, and like I told my brother Danny and my brother Albert, was the fact that she was already giving stuff away. The stuff that she kept was pretty much what do you call it, sentimental value, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we tried our best to collect these things, and then, okay, Danny, you can take this to storage. I can take this to my house. My grandfather's tools were there, and they're just sitting there in the box. So I went, and now they're here. Grandpa's this and grandpa's that, and my brother took a computer monitor they had laying around, and pretty much stuff that she held on to sentimental value. So pretty much now I have, these little candle holders that she had in her room. They're now in my room. So pretty much we try to put something of her in
what I
every
do
room.
too. Like, yeah. And what I did was like every time I even went to Braid or saw her, she'd always give me something. So I always took whatever she gave me. I didn't care if, so now I have so many things around my house that now not everything's out, but they're like, where'd you get that? That's grandma. I was like, yeah, because she gave it to me because she did that. Like she just gave me, or she would send my mom with like boxes of stuff. My mom's like, I don't even, because at one point she had dementia, that she was just packing stuff away, and she'd like, take these, like she'd send me like a trash bag full of like little things that she'd found, like a marble and a half of an eraser, or like a toothpick, like a not toothpick, but a bobby pin or safety pins, like little things like that. And I have all these little things that she would collect. I have like a little keepsake thing that she'd send me all these different things. I mean, I still have, like, I can show you my garage and say that's for my grandma's, that's for my grandma's, or that's my grandpa's, because that's what I did. That I accepted anything and everything from them, because I told my mom, even in fact we had this conversation, she's like, well, the house is paid for, I want to be able to leave this. I said, Mom, I'm the only one, let's just do this. It's like, enjoy life, sell your house, live in an apartment, go enjoy life. I don't want anything, like I don't need anything, let's make that agreement. I said, because I'd rather you live life and not have to, because I think that's what her things, I want to leave you something. I didn't, and I'm like, you don't have to leave me anything.
Right.
I just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
And don't wear yourself out trying to leave, what is it called? Monetary things behind.
Yeah,
You know? I'm
my
not going to fight over anything. It's just me.
yeah, my main priority were photos, and nobody fought us on that. You know, even my brother Albert was like, he had a whole album to himself, and you know, that my grandma had, and he was like, I'm not in a hurry to get that back. Don't even trick, because when we were going through all the photos, the first thing I did was start scanning photos.
Yeah.
I have a scanner here next to my computer. I started scanning photos, and I sent them to my brother Alex, and then I collected quite a bit amount of photos. I scanned them, and I sent it to my mother, and then there's still a couple photo albums in there, but
That's still hard, though. My father-in-law is doing that, too.
Yeah.
He's taking everything and digitizing
Yeah.
everything because, like you, he's the only one. There's tons and tons of stuff. He said there's not some stuff he doesn't want to share with anybody. So he's like, I'm going through it.
yeah, these things come in handy. External hard drives. It's a trip, but it's a trip because these things were this one it's only a 500 gig, and it was like $100, and now I bought like
Yeah.
a 2 terabyte for like $50, whatever.
Because it's so common nowadays.
And the kids already know, if for some reason the house were to catch on fire, what are you
Grab
grabbing?
that first.
Yup. So yeah, no, I still have, like, I mean, like I said, I got calls from cousins. Hey, is there any images of us and my, you know? And I did find some of their moms, so I scanned them and sent them that way. And then, but then I went through everything. My priority was to see who isn't my cousin. So my grandfather had obviously 2 kids before he married my grandmother. My cousin Katrina, and my cousin Selena. I had photos of them here. So Selena came over to pick them up, and then I had pictures of my tia Rosa. I'm here. I mean, take them back.
Yeah, my mom did that too.
Yeah.
She actually gave them their actual photos. Like each aunt or each uncle got their respective photos, like even with their kids and stuff. My mom, that was one of the things we did. We did as a group is we went through all the photos and we separated who was going to get what as far as the photos went. So I have, just my family here, like I said, respective families of who I don't need copies of those.
Yeah,
It's
no,
okay.
I it's funny because my cousin Selena told me she told me the story, and and I got to show her who her uncles were because she went on, I think,
Oh, yeah, of
Ancestry, and she said I matched with someone in Oxnard. She said her dad was, or her grandfather was Javier. Well, this is your
Let me
uncle
show you who
Javier.
Javier.
That's
Yeah.
Javier. That's
That
your
makes
uncle.
sense,
That's
yeah.
Tio Chel. We call him Tio Chel. It's funny because she was telling me the story. She was like,
I
I
think
don't.
we had a deal check too.
Yeah, she told me, I don't think your grandmother really liked us very much, and because she felt that when my grandmother called them, and she told them, hey, just letting you know, Tony's gone, and they're like, Tony, my grandfather, Tony, they're like, well, where's he? Ya se fue.
Where'd he
They're
go
like,
to?
Ya se fue. And it was like, where'd he go?
As in he died?
He died, and then she clicked, right? But
Damn.
my wife's the one that told me. And I forgot to tell it to my cousin Selena, so hopefully she's still listening to my podcast. If my grandma had a problem with my grandfather's other kids, my grandmother still had their pictures on the wall of Selena and Katrina. So I don't
didn't have a problem.
No, I don't think she did. It's just
No, it was just one of those things that they say.
they're old people, man. They're old
Yeah.
people, I mean, the one thing that I loved about my grandma that is something an old person would say. She would always say, "Andy's my favorite. Andy's my favorite." And I told that, and my brother Danny was like, honestly, hands down, I fucking believe it, dude. I'm like,
Dude, so my cousin, the oldest cousin, we would always say she was always babied the older cousin. It didn't matter. He could not do wrong in her eyes. He could be doing drugs, and he could be coming off of shit in her back room saying he saw demons, and she'd be feeding him soup with olive oil, and they're praying for him, thinking, and he's over there detoxing off of meth.
Yeah.
He was that kind of, that makes me so mad because my grandmother did so much for that kid, and for him to do what he did, and still, in fact, he just got put in jail because he got caught with the shit on him, and he took the stuff while he was in the jail. Yeah, it was like a lot of stuff too.
yeah.
And I was like, "Qué pendejo." I was like, "You're so stupid." And then he came out, and there he thinks that everybody owes him, like he deserves a clean slate. No, you don't, because he did so many damn. He stole from my mom. He stole from my grandma. He made grandma shed so many tears and heartache. And he thinks people deserve a second chance. But when you burn somebody so much and you do so much things to so many people that sometimes bridges are hard to build, it's better just to move forward.
The only thing we didn't agree with her, and that's the fact that she pretty much, I think because she lost her son at such a young age. And she told me one day, so I can say it. She told me that she felt that she failed because she babied one of our brothers since day one. Because my mom had him at 14, so she was a baby herself, having a baby. So my grandparents pretty much took custody of the child, and they're like, this is our kid. And we feel that my grandmother babied this guy so much that he can do no wrong. It's why he is the way he is now.
Exactly.
And that's why him and my grandmother. That's why my grandmother and my brother Danny bumped heads a lot. And he would just we'll go visit her, and then it was like, what's the point in coming to visit her? She would tell me, what's the point of coming to visit her if I just leave and we're fighting? It's pointless, you know. To this day, and I'm sure it does. He kicks himself in the ass because when they were coming over to visit me, so it was my sister and my brother and her family that I'm going to meet for the first time are coming over for Christmas. My brother drove through El Paso, and my sister got to see my grandmother. My sister was the last person to see our grandmother alive. And my brother, because there was still fresh tension with my grandmother and him, he didn't get down to say hi to her.
Oh, wow.
The next thing he hears is because he told me, I don't want to, if she's still so stubborn, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything. And so when I got the word that she had passed, I told him, I know you don't want to hear it, bro, but she's gone. And we all mourn differently. You know, I cried in my car for like 5 minutes, and then I was on the clock, so back to work. You know, and he kept his distance. He was quiet for a little while, so it's like everybody mourns differently, you know. And
I agree.
But it's because, you know, till pretty much to her last breath, she you know, she babied an individual that pretty much she brings a whole new meaning to helicopter parent, pretty much. You know, and we can't blame her for it at the end of the day. But you know, we can't blame her for it. You know, she had her reasons, but that reason it caused a lot of tensions. And when she passed, that's the first thing my wife said. I don't want Albert over here. No, you know, no. Because we went over there. We went to go visit her one day, you know, before she passed, and like, dude, the kitchen is covered in dishes, dude. The thing is clogged. So I go to Walmart and I spend like $140 on cleaning supplies and plungers, and I'm like, this plunger's for the kitchen, this plunger's to the bathroom, and I'm talking to a 40-year-old individual, not my grandmother. Yeah, you know, her toilet wouldn't flush, so I had to go and bought the little parts and everything. And the one thing she did tell me was, every time Danny comes over, he does the same thing. And I talked to Danny. Danny's like, fuck yeah, every time I go over there, I'm fixing something. Yeah. You know, and she didn't want me to, but I told her, sorry, Grandma.
You have to.
Yeah, I have to. And then she couldn't even reach the little the little chain to the fan. So I went and bought the little chain. So the other day I was going through my stuff, and I found the extra little box of the chain that I didn't use. And I was like, oh man, Grandma. And I kept it. It's right here in my
sentimental stuff.
In my setup. Exactly. Now that is a trip. That little box of a chain, of a freaking fan chain, is now sentimental value to me. And only
you hoarder, you horrible hoarder.
right. So
that's cute. Oh, I say that, but I keep the little things too. I mean, I can look over here now and just pull something that's my grandmother's and be like, look. But that's.
I'm looking around. I'm sure I'll find something right now.
I'm looking right now. Look, I'll point it right now. I look straight over there. I had this basket. She used to keep us. I think she got a flowers in it.
Wow.
And it's made out of glass. And I keep it in here I keep it right here in the garage for some pens.
Yeah, I have.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, she was. The beautiful thing about my grandmother is that, you know, she always in a funny way, she was through my face. She was like, you always wanted to go back to your mom. Because I guess they asked me in court, do you want to stay with your grandma or do you want to go back to your mom? And I said, I want to go back to my mom. So in a way, she always made it seem like she was hurt with that, because she was like, you know, she wanted to keep me pretty much.
Yeah.
But like I told my brother Danny, things happen for a reason, man. Because I think I would have choked him out, the other guy. I would have choked his ass out if I grew up with them. And I tell my brother Danny all the time, it's like, because he said when they were kids, they always they would, I don't know, if cry themselves to sleep and wanting to be with us. For 8 years, we didn't hear, anything of them. And I told him, what's funny, Danny, is that I would always cry wanting to go to mom's, to grandma, moms, we call her mom.
Yeah.
We wanted it. It's a trip. You guys wanted to come to us, but we had it worse, bro. We had it worse. We wanted to go to you, but we had no idea where you guys were, And then this is the one thing that I told my brother, is I told him, dude, the life that you guys had with her, I guess my grandpa was too strict or whatever. I'm like, I told my brother Junior one day, I'm like, dude, we were supposed to be the fuck ups, not because like I said, he got into drugs. I'm like, not you, But the one thing that I do give my grandma props is she and my grandparents, they did whatever they had to do to make sure that all three of my siblings graduated high school. Because my mom had 12 of us, and out of the 12 of us, 3 of them that she didn't raise graduated high school. The other nine that she had under her care, only one of them graduated high school.
I think all of my aunts and uncles, except for like even my mom, they all graduated high school. I did. I graduated early. I wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Like, I think the big thing in that is that you had a small town, you wanted to graduate, you wanted to get out, and a lot of my aunts and uncles didn't, graduate or didn't have their high school diploma. So my mom, I think she had to go back for her GED. I think that's right, because I think trying to figure out if 2 of my uncles and aunts didn't have it. But either way, it's still an accomplishment in a Hispanic household to be able to graduate high school and then go on to college. Not very many of us went on to college. You were really successful then. I knew I wanted to do college, but I didn't know how to get there. I didn't have guidance to do college. I knew that I wanted to get the hell out of Brady because of all the shit that was going on to me there. There was no way I wanted to stay there. I wanted to be somebody totally different. And as a person, for me, I wanted to go to Austin. So high school was, I wanted to get in, get done. And when I found out that I could graduate high school in 3 years, I was all for it. So I started doing all my classes and focused just strictly on schoolwork.
I wanted to.
So I kind of just buried myself into it.
I just wanted to be able to attend school. Come high school, that's all. I just wanted to go to school, and in a way, it was kind of like an escape from home because all I'm doing is helping someone else raise her kids. So high school was like an escape for me and like a sanctuary. My fortress of solitude was high school. I wanted to play football. That's the one sport that's the only sport that I can be in a good mood and I'm watching it and celebrating. But then there's days where I'm depressed and my wife's like, "What's wrong?" And I say, "Because I wanted to be out there with them."
That should have been me out there.
Yeah, that should have been me, man.
That should have been me, dude.
So
no, I did love football. In junior high, I always wanted to play football. I even tried to get on the football team with the guys, but I never crossed that line. Then I would gravitate towards band, so I was out. At least I could be out Friday nights watch the games. Yeah. So I was in the band every Friday night, and I was watching the games. So that was pretty hyped up. And like I told you, Friday Night Lights was the thing back in home. But also getting out of there with doing something different because boring old town like Brady. What the hell was there anything else to do besides football and getting drunk and doing drugs? Because that's kind of still how it is now. You were talking about who was that again? Is it your brother that was with drugs?
One of my brothers, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I grew up around, drugs everywhere, and it's sad that it became a normal in our family. It was not something. It was not usual to see. So there was always an uncle who was all coked up, or he gave. There was always so all my uncles, they were either, some of them were into coke, some were into drinking, and some were worse than others. Some let the younger generation have a taste of what that kind of life was. Once the older cousin got a hold of it because of my uncle, there was just no stop for him. It's he got the bit of that drug, and it was, the sky was the limit. It didn't matter. He was inevitable. And that was a learned behavior. And we talk about product of in your environment. That was something normal to have go down, right?
Right.
So drugs got a better half of my family. I think they've got the better half of my family. And I think trying to stay away from drugs was a big thing for me too. So I did not want to be around drugs. And I found myself just gravitating towards people who were on drugs, like getting into toxic friendships with people who are on drugs. Like in high school, I'd want to go home on Friday night, or I didn't have a ride on Friday night, but the person who's going to give me a ride was like, okay, well, go out and have a beer, but then, you got to give me a blowjob. And I'm just like, I'm like, that's not going to happen. Because that's kind of what I don't know if that's what they expected, but I felt like every guy that I came into contact was so rude to me. Like it was always like they expected something from me. I didn't have any girlfriends. I don't know why. I thought I had a few friends that were female, but it never worked out for me. So I was in bands. So I didn't have very many friends. It was always just like my cousins that I hung out with mostly. Like I mentioned that I really didn't go out because my grandmother wouldn't let me go out. I get in trouble. But if I wanted to ride home, it was always came with a price. So a lot of it was pretty disturbing in high school. So I didn't want to be in high school. I didn't want to go to school.
The difference between growing up in different environments, right? Like you say that you're in high school and you're already experimenting with drugs, right?
Yeah.
In high school, I was drawing The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, that Spanish singer Thalia, Will Smith pre-slap. And, I would sit on my desk in my room for hours and just sit there and draw. So when there was this one history class that I had, the teacher, I don't remember his name, but I remember he was allergic to tap water because he had to shower with not allowing the water to touch his face. And
really?
He said he told us one day, this is going to be a history-free week. So I need you guys to write a project, write an essay or whatever on something that you like or like sports or whatever. When it got to me, I was lucky to say wrestling, pro wrestling, right? My cover was a drawing of The Rock.
Oh, cool.
This SOB kept that drawing, man. I never got it back.
That's so cool that you talk so much about your education, and look how much emphasis every time we talk, you're like, we grew up in so different paths. Your emphasis on education and what you've done with that, you were thinking about education. Your grandfather was thinking about your education. Nobody was thinking of my education. It was just something I was doing. It was almost as if it was a daycare. Let them teach you everything about life. And none of them were really teaching you about life. They weren't even teaching you about school. They were doing their job as well. Right?
But it's sad that the person that should have been pushing education didn't.
Wasn't doing it.
Yeah. So my grandfather couldn't push that on me. Well, he tried that when I was a little kid, right? Mm-hmm. But then pretty much for 8 years, we didn't know anything about him. They didn't know anything about us. But I guarantee you he would have. Like I said, my 3 siblings that lived with them got to graduate high school. I believe Danny went to college, Yeah. I went to community college only because I wanted to go to community college. Yeah. And my mother saw, financial aid. Money. Oh, come on. That's for me. That's supposed to be for me. But yeah, no, I wanted to go to school so bad, and like I said, that's when I went to school. When I was 18, then I decided, okay, now you can't stop me anymore. I can go. I'm 18. I'll go to school. Sadly, I let a woman fuck that up, but continue.
Well, I graduated in 3 years. I actually had scholarships because I didn't have anybody to help me out or teach me anything. So when I decided that I could graduate, so my cousin told me, Marlena, you can graduate in 3 years. I went and saw the counselor. Instead of the counselors really leading me into what I should do next, I wanted to be a teacher. I would love to have gone into education. And I did my work like I was supposed to. I was very studious. I did everything I needed to do. But they didn't help me past that. I did get a scholarship for $5,000 for the Teachers Association or something like that, but I never did anything with it because my mentality was, I should have done it. I didn't have any support or help. I can't keep thinking about the what ifs. What if somebody would have poked me? What if the counselors would have encouraged me just a little bit more, taking the time out with me like they did the other students, to help me pick a college, to help me apply for college, to help me fill out all those tests I needed to take, to be where I needed to be. Instead, I was not there. So I decided the best thing for me to do is go off and get married. I was 7. I just graduated school, dude. I was like, so I graduated in 01. I just turned 17. My birthday's in March.
You graduated. Your high school graduation was in 2001.
I graduated in 2001.
That would have been mine if I would have finished school.
Really?
Yep, 2001.
Oh, cool. So I graduated in 01, and I graduated early. And I took off with a dude that was like 6-7 years older than I was, and took off to Austin. My grandmother, my mom were just like, gave my graduation gift of $1,000, and there I was. Took off fresh, 17 years old, clothes in hands, and took off with the love of my life. I thought he was going to be the one for me.
Right.
But that falls into just looking for toxic love. I was looking for in relationship and anything, and he was an older guy, and I thought he had this family that was a beautiful family that I wanted everything to be a part of. He had his mom, dad, and he was a single, he was the only child, and we had a lot in common. He had more in common with my cousins as far as drugs, but I thought that was the norm too. Like, I was like, okay, well, my cousin does drugs, he does drugs, my uncle does drugs. It's all the same drug, and still I was just dabbling in drinking, underage drinking, and smoking a little bit of weed every here and now and then, so I still moved off with him. And there'd be times where, I'd find the cocaine up in the drink or that we keep our glasses, or rolled up dollar bills. And it was just, that kind of became a fight all the time about it. Who his friends were, who he was bringing over, being out all the time. And one time, his cousin called, and it was like early in the morning, and I didn't know that one of the guys were actually staying the night there. And I answered the phone, and it wasn't a cousin. It was like it was a friend's cousin. And he was like, is so-and-so there? And I'm like, no. And I didn't know. And the guy I was dating turned around and put his hand on my, over my mouth and my nose, shut the fuck up. He's here. What the fuck are you doing? I was like, and I got so scared because I was like, I just woke up. The phone had just rang. I just answered it. And I just said, no, he's not here. I'm sorry. And here he is rolling over, telling me to shut the fuck up. And what the hell did I do it? And I got scared. So I got up and I took off, and I got in my car and I rolled up the window. Here he comes. Marlena, don't go. Marlena, don't go. And I'm like, I'm leaving. Fuck this.
Yeah.
So I drove to the only place. I was working for Dell at the time. So I drove to the Dell parking lot. And I was like, I called his buddy, his girlfriend up, his friend, who was like his best friend. And I was like, so this happened, and he did this, and I'm scared. And she's like, well, come over. So I went over there, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I think I'm done. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I went back and got my stuff. And he's like, you're really leaving? I had my mom and my aunt come pick me up. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. So I left, and I went back to Brady. And then 6 months later, there I was again. A couple of sorries and I love yous, and my ass went right back to it.
Well, at least you gave him 6 months. I didn't even bother to. I
won't even say it's 6 months. I maybe it's been 3. I say 6
you
because I'm giving myself credit.
You still gave him a break. A break. I didn't. I like I said. You know how it's funny. You said that you grew up around drugs, so you hook up with a guy who's in drugs. So to you, that's normal. Okay, I grew up in a negative environment, and I hook up with a girl who's just as negative. So guess what? To me, that's normal, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to school, and the first thing she does is starts giving me shit about the females that are in class, my female friends that are I talk to, that she came with me to freaking school one day, and made everyone feel very, very fucking uncomfortable, And I didn't see, but I was young and stupid, and I didn't see nothing wrong with that. Plus, 2 of these homegirls had a chance, and they never said anything. So now, too bad.
Yeah,
I got with someone.
You're like, she's my bad bitch.
Yeah, I got with somebody who fucking looked my way. So who was actually honest enough to tell me what's up.
Claiming me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, within the first 9 months of us being together, she cheated on me, and pretty much there and then, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Yep. I didn't give her the 3 months or 6 months. I just okay, because my first relationship, pretty much. The first person I've slept with So
yeah, me too.
So it's like
Yeah.
what's it called? You're sprung,
Yep. I was in love. I wanted to marry him. I was like, marry me tomorrow. I don't care if we were, I was like, let's do this. I was like, I'm ready to marry him. I love your mom, your dad. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I was ready. I was ready. Absolutely. And whenever we took that break and we were talking to each other, and then I bought him a dog, and then I was like, okay, so we got back together, and then things were going okay, I guess. And then on his birthday, we were supposed to go to Los Lonely Boys.
Oh, no
and
shit.
Remember, I love Los Lonely Boys.
Yeah.
And I set it all up.
Real
We
quick.
were gonna go to a concert.
Real quick, Los Lonely Boys were actually the opening act for one of the Dallas Cowboys opening training camp.
Oh, cool.
Fun fact.
So fun fact. I love Los Lonely Boys. Yeah. So we were supposed to go see them, and I bought tickets and everything, and for his birthday. And the girl so he had this friend. They're really close. Before I started dating them, they were close. Even during, it was just one of those relationships. I just needed to understand that they were friends. So they were talking, whatever. It was a guy, It was just one of those relationships. So I even reached out. It was the same girl I reached out and said that he'd done that. And it's the same girl that I reached out to make these plans for his birthday. And so I was like, this is who I want, this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Well, he ended up going out for his birthday. And let me backtrack, because I took him back twice. Now that I think about it, because I thought I was supposed to get proposed to that night, but I ended up. So he ends up going out for his birthday without me. He takes off to San Antonio, and I'm like, what the hell? So he's out and he cheats on me, right? And I find out he's cheated on me, and he's over there with her, and I'm like, why does he get to? This whole situation? So I leave. I come back and fast forward to Los Lonely Boys. This is because I forget about him cheating on me. You said cheating on me, and he did cheat on me on his birthday. And I was trying to forget that, because this birthday, the next year, I wanted to be with him, more than anything.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to marry him, and I made the whole Lonely Boys thing. So I hadn't got the tickets yet or whatever. And the same girl, like I said, that was helping me through the situation, I was like, I'm going to have this girl night out with her. And I went out and had this girl night out with her because a friend of mine, it was a DJ at a bar. He was like, come over. I'm a DJ downtown. And we're up there having a good time. We're drinking. And she looks over to the DJ and she's like, hey, yo. She's like, kiss her. And the DJ is like, yo, man. And we're all dancing. He goes up there and he grabs me and he kisses me. Well, I kissed him back. So the first thing I did was, we got to go. I told that girl, we got to go. We got to get the fuck out of here right now. I got to go home. I got to tell so-and-so. She's like, you're serious? I said, right now, because we had cell phones, but we were sharing a cell phone. So he only had the cell phone. I didn't have it. So there was no way of me telling him, but I knew she was going to tell him first. So I wanted to be the first one to tell him what had happened.
Yeah.
So I walked in. He was like, hey, princess. He came to give me a hug. And I was like, I'm leaving you. And he was like, what? I said, I kissed this dude. And I didn't give him any explanation.
And I liked it.
Well, I didn't know what to say. I made my own fucking bed. So I called the guy up. I was like, dude, you kissed me. My friend saw this shit. So come pick my ass up. I was like, you fucking fucked up. Come get me. Yeah. I was like, because now, he's going to do something to me that that's probably going to be,
Yeah.
I didn't know, because he always told me, if you ever fucked up on me, my family's in the mafia, or my family could do this to you, or you ever cheat on me, I'm going to find out. And, my uncles were in the mafia, or they know the mafia. And he would say stupid shit like that to me. So I was always afraid that if I stepped out of line, that somebody was going to say something. Somebody was always watching me. And it was no different. So when she's convinced, was like, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her. And the DJ got down and kissed me. I was like, this is a setup. Yeah. I said, get my ass out. Yeah. So I went home and I told him, come get me. In fact, I thought it was such a setup, so fucking paranoid, that I ended up moving with the DJ down to the valley.
Damn.
Yep. I got all my shit that next day. I was like, let me go get my shit because I fucked up. I was like, I fucked up. I went up there. I said, hey, I kissed the guy. It was just one time. There was nothing nothing about it. I said, and I didn't even ever tell him that it was his girlfriend that encouraged the whole situation.
Yeah.
And I had no guts to tell him. And I was just like, well, I made my stupid, abrupt decision. I take off with this idiot down to the valley. I call him an idiot because I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I went down there and his mom expected me to run their restaurant. They wanted me to turn into this full 100% housewife immediately with this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't want to have like my fun. I was like, not even 21 yet. I was like, no. So I ended up going back to Austin, trying to be back with the same guy. He was into more drugs than I had ever thought. Like, I went back and he was doing more. Like, it was even so scary. I was like, okay, forget it. Like, I'm not going to try anymore. So I started doing like my own thing. Like, I started doing like online dating. I was like, I was self-destruct after that point. I didn't give a shit.
See, with me, the thing with me was like, for example, when I found out she cheated on me the first time, I fucked up. I slapped her, right? I slapped her, and that's something that I grew up always watching, right? I'm like, well, these guys are beating up on my mom, but yeah, she stays, So I fucked up, and I slapped her, and I said, hey, don't ever fucking do that again. And all sunshines and rainbows again. And then 11 months later, she cheats on me again. So I'm like, what the fuck, man? But now it's like, now I fucked up because now I end up in jail because I fucking clotheslined her and shit, right?
Yeah.
I think my pride was kicking my ass because I didn't want to go back to my mom's house. I didn't.
Yeah.
So she can, she can cheat on me. She can get rid of me. And the moment her funds is over, she'll come to church. She'll come to church. Oops. She'll come to visit me in jail after she just fucking put me in there and, flash her fucking boobs. And I'm like, okay, I'm back. I'm good. And she knew she had me wrapped around her fucking finger. And it's like with me, because I'm like, if it took for me to be in my 20s to finally have a girl look in my direction, don't want to lose this. And it was toxic.
You saw that way.
It was a toxic love because, no matter what I did to try to provide for her and obviously my new daughter, I did whatever I could to make sure we always had a roof over our heads. And no matter what I did, there she goes again to go cheat on me again. So it's like, it was like every time she wanted to have her little fun. Yeah. It's like she wanted to have a family and a home, but she didn't want the responsibility of helping build this home.
Yeah.
And every time she got, it's like, she was only 18, I was 3 years older than her. So it was 21. So 21-year-old, 21-year-old never know what it's like to be with a female, I'm fucking sprung. I'm stuck in this toxic love.
And you're stepping up.
And I'm trying to step up. And, no matter how many times she cheats on me, I continue to take her back. No matter what. Here I am. Okay, back. It was just until the last one that I was like, yes, Tubo. I'm done. Yes, Tubo. I'm done. But
no, man, I felt like every time, I think cheating's a big thing for me. And I think that was cheating's a huge thing for me. Because I want to be important to somebody. I think I always wanted to be that important to somebody, or the only one, or the most important, or the first in line, or whatever you want to say. But I want to be that person to somebody. And I wanted to be that person for so long. Yeah. And I was willing to accept any type of relationship for it. I did that. So those two first relationships, I don't want to say names, and it's hard for me not to.
Don't worry. We'll call them Sponge and Bob.
Okay, so Sponge. So SpongeBob. So SpongeBob's who I left high school with. And then
No. You left high school with you left high school with Sponge, and then the DJ is Bob.
DJ's Bob. So I left high school with Sponge, and then the DJ's Bob. And even the DJ was, which is hilarious. But anyways, my point was that was kind of a cycle for me. I was just choosing all of these wrong people. There was a guy that I ended up dating who was into strip clubs before I met my husband. And we'll leave it at that, because I did some online dating and some major mistakes.
We'll call him Square.
Call him Square. So the Square that I dated was actually, and like I said, drugs was I didn't think it for it not to be uncommon, but I didn't know at the time this guy was one of it in too much drugs. Like, we were going to all the strip clubs. Like, I even met some people at the strip. I met Mark Henry, The Undertaker. I met Andy Dick. I met Owen Wilson, all at the Yellow Rose.
No shit.
I was frequently the Rose, Palazzio's. Here I am name dropping. I was so all of these places in Austin I was frequenting, but didn't know I was a mule. Didn't know that I was just the pretty face.
Right.
That I was getting all these dances, and I like girls, so it wasn't a big deal for me to have all these women all over me, gorgeous women with their boobies in their face. I was like, oh, living the high life, you know. And all the meanwhile, really, they were getting their shit from the guy I was dating.
Oh.
You know, and I didn't know that until it got to where I wanted to use. And I was using it,
right.
And I was like, I gotta have it every day, and because I was doing coke, but that wasn't my first taste. My first taste was my uncle, because I was working for a hotel, and he's like, I know a way to stay up, and I was like, how do I stay up? Right. And he's like, take this, and I took it, and I was like, woo. And then I was working for the bank, and then I was still doing it, and that's where I met Square. At the bank, and then he's like, come party with me, and I was like, all right. Well,
plot twist, you married Pants.
I married Pants, and Pants is the one who came into my life and saved my life, because Pants is the guy who I went over to their house, and I was like, man, damn, you've got some nice arms, and he wrapped those fucking arms around me, and he said, we're getting married 2 weeks. That's so cool. I had to go through some troubles to get to where I'm at. And that's why I always tell people, they're like, you're a survivor. I said, no, I am a survivor. I said, I am. And when I say I've gotten to the top of my game, it's because, and I want to share that with people, because I had to go through a lot to see the beauty on the other side. And I know it's so cliche. They say, oh, the calm comes after the storm, and the rainbow appears after, you know, the ugly. But it really truly does.
For you know, like I said, this woman just did me so fucked up. It's funny because she always says that for a long time she would say, "You're a fucking asshole." You made me that. Remember, I used to be a hopeless romantic. Remember, I used to jam to the fucking Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears. Remember all that? Oh, you don't remember that? You know. Now you want to get mad because I'm an asshole. Did you think I was going to be an asshole to the world and not the one that made me an asshole? For a long time, Marlena, I fucking hated her. Yeah. I wished the worst on her. But
it's not hard.
Therapy is what really helped me forgive her, because the therapist helped me understand that the way people are, it's at the end of the day, it's their fucking upbringing. And it's the thing is that she always felt that every time she felt I didn't love her, meaning I'm getting tired of her bullshit, she would go find love at the wrong places. Every time she would get like, okay, she even told her friend one day, fuck, Andy doesn't love me, and Andy doesn't, you know, treat me with he doesn't care for me or whatever. And her friend even told her, like, you fucking cheated him like 5 times. What makes you think he's going to be lovey-dovey still, you know? And if it wasn't until, like I said, therapy that made me understand, like, okay, she has daddy issues, you know. Her dad wasn't around. Her dad took off when she was 2 years old. She has fucking daddy issues, you know. Recently, like I told my brother, if I can have a conversation with her, man, I can have a conversation with you. You're my brother, because you know, therapy helped me with that. You know, recently she tells me she has health concerns, and here I am praying for her. I'm praying for her, and I tell God, and I tell God, I ask Him, if this is your idea of karma, I don't want it this way. Because she's having, you know, chest pains. So I, it's funny because when she first told me, and I was like, is this karma for fucking breaking my heart so many times? You know, I made the joke. Yeah. And she's like, you fucking asshole. And she was laughing. But now that it's getting worse and worse, I'm like, no, dude. Nah.
No, that's not the right. But he doesn't do it that way.
No, I know, but I'm just like, if that's my way of praying, dude. If this is your idea of karma, bro, nah, I'm good. I already forgave her. We're good. We're good. You know.
For sure.
And somebody told me, because I say that, because I pray that, and I said that, hey, I don't want it this way. You know, they told me that's why you're a fucking what was the word he said? That's why you're a fucking good individual, because the person that made you suffer the most, the person that you almost died for, you almost jumped in front of a train for, you're over here asking God, nah, please take care of her. Don't fucking hurt her like that. And I'm gonna let you talk on for a little bit while I find the word, because it's bugging me now.
No, you're right, because when I met my husband is whenever I really started to soak in needing mental health, and I knew that I needed it immediately. And that's whenever I took control of my reality of where I wanted to be in life. Because for so long, I let all of that fester up, all the traumas that I dealt with, the whole like trying to find love a certain way, just being able to see people in a different light. I needed to be able to see that, because I didn't believe my husband when he said, I'm always going to be there for you. I'm never going to cheat on you. Well, every other man in my life did that to me. Every other man in my life did this, that. So I needed to heal. And I suck out professional treatment. And that was an opening of a door for me to, you know, to be able to start to express and accept my reality, so that I can, because if you deny it, you deny that it ever happened.
Right.
And if you put it away, then you deny it happening. So we have to be able to experience those emotions and experience it, but also learn to move past it. And that's where I'm an advocate for mental health. I'm an advocate for seeking help, whether it's through your personal care provider, with the aid of pills, maybe, because I am on a medication for it, and antidepressants, or talking to somebody, or like what we're doing here, talking about it, getting it out, breaking generational curses. We talked about it the very first episode. And even we talked about, if you would have known those things, you know, they could have prevented in the future. If you would have known, or you saw those things happening, how you grew up and how they were being abused or treated or even disciplined, you don't do those to your kids. Or you even nurturing such people as your mom or your ex-girlfriend. Those are different generational curses, because sometimes in your past we were like, no, to hell with that person. Like, I had family members, if something ill were to happen to somebody, that they deserved that.
Yeah,
they deserved it. And that's where you are. That's where you are in your heart, and that's why you're here. Because God picks. I say God picks. That's how you know you're a chosen one, is because you've been through so much trauma, and you're yet to come out on the other end and still love the people who caused you trauma. But you're able to get that experience out so that other people can hear it and possibly stop that curse at their moment.
It's funny because it's nothing fancy. It's just that I was a good person for telling God not to take her out this way. What do you call it? It's funny because one day I had a dream. You know, I had a dream that she was like suffering, like just hurting, and I called her up to just to see how she's doing, right? And she said, "What's going on, Eddie?" And I'm like, "I woke up hating your fucking mom right now so bad." And she started like, "What?" I hate your mom. And she's like, "Well, why?" "I hate your mom because you are the person that you are because of her. Because you can tell that your mom has favorites. And we damn well know that your sister is the fucking favorite. And when she needs something, your mom runs to her. When you need something, fuck you. You're the fucking black sheep of the family. And for that, I fucking hate your mom." You know, I woke up with this anger towards her mom because I'm dreaming that the mother of my kids is in fucking pain, is fucking suffering. And we go back to what I was told the other day. That makes you a good person for going, nah, man, don't take her out this way. Don't. You know, like at the end of the day, I said in my text, I said at the end of the day, she's still the mother of my kids. And no matter how much hurt or pain she put me through, you know, she is still the mother of my kids. And nobody wants to see. Like I said a couple of podcast episodes ago, no one deserves to die, you know. And in their own way, like I wish that we all just fucking died of old age. Okay, you know what? You've reached 115, done, you know. But not because for example, with me, meat, meat is everything, you know. Ever since I was told, you can possibly have a heart attack. Meat doesn't smell or taste as good anymore. There's this one birria taco truck that freaking has the best birria quesadillas, tacos, and I went by the other day and it smells so delicious, but it didn't speak to me. It didn't call me. It didn't speak to me. Andy, eat me. So point of that is that I'm over here talking to the mother of my kids, telling her, hey, cut back on processed foods, cut back on fast food. If there's a blockage, high cholesterol, we got to cut back on this. So pretty much I'm going through my health concern issues that I'm, kind of like walking through her of what I'm being told, what not to eat or cut back on. Did I tell you that spinach is the reason why I have high uric acid levels? Something that's supposed to help you lose weight is what's killing me.
Oh, damn. Shit.
Yeah, because I eat it every day. It's okay to eat it once in a, it's fine. You eat fish and every day, and it gives you high levels of mercury. But now we're getting into a whole different topic. But counseling, therapists, like I said, the therapists help me really understand people, for why they are the way they are. And I still strongly believe in therapy. I believe that if everybody goes and at least at least figure out your triggers. Learn that.
Yeah.
And then you, like, I had a friend of mine tell me, hey, I'm going to go to therapy for the first time. Ask them what your triggers are. And she's like, what? That's the first thing you want to find out. Ask them what your triggers are. And then, but at the end of the day, we are the way we are because of the way that we were raised. And she is, the mother of my kids is the way she is because of the way that she was raised and wasn't raised, in a way. That makes sense?
Right.
You know, you said all you grew up knowing was drugs. So you knew that drugs was normal. I grew up in a toxic environment, and I got into a toxic relationship because I thought it was normal. You know? And like I said in my podcast trailer, until it's not. It's not normal.
I mean, I want to make it very clear. My mom and my grandmother did not have drugs.
No.
Like, it was everybody around me.
No, of course,
people that I would hang out with, associate with. Yeah, but that was very much. There was no. It wasn't. And I think about that. I should be thinking of other things that were happy and fun times. But
of course,
I don't. I think about when my cousin went to Austin to go get what they called a donut, but it was actually hits of acid. I was like. There's some crazy stuff that we could talk, some stories of some wild shit that my family has done.
Right.
But absolutely believe in seeking mental help first, and especially in new relationships. If you're not confident and you're seeking out a relationship for love, or you're seeking out a relationship just to be a friendship, it's always to find out. I don't. It's good to have people to talk to. It's also people who understand, who will listen, not just people who are going to talk to, but will listen, and maybe not even offer anything in return or even an opinion, and just somebody to listen to. And
that's what I told an individual last week. It is okay to talk. It is okay to get shit off your chest. It is not okay to bottle it up or brush it under the rug.
That's right.
Don't brush it under it. You have to get it off your chest because it will fucking eat you alive. And for a long time, it was eating me, Mm-hmm. But again, I thank the mother of my kids because I wouldn't have found my wife, if it wasn't for the way that I was in my first relationship, And, you have to go through this bullshit to make you a better person. You have to.
Yeah, that's what I say. I always say that you have to go through all of that to make it to come out to the other end. And like I said, this isn't even over. This is the beginning. Just meeting my husband is the beginning of the last major incident in my life that happened to me. And we'll talk about that next time. Even when I got older and I thought I'd figured things out. It still didn't come easy, even if I met the love of my life. I still dealt with, my mental illness and needing to figure that out. And how was I going to move on in this new relationship and still have all of these things? So I had to be honest with him. I had to tell him everything. Like everything was on the table. Right. There was nothing, like every lie I ever told, I told him, and it was a clean slate. And for a while, like I said, there after high school, I went on a binge. Like I went out drinking with Sponge, and I did the things with Bob, and I had fun. I had fun with Square.
Yeah.
I did all of those things, and I lived this crazy life. I met some crazy individuals. Like I told you, I met some famous people doing being in Austin.
Right.
I lived some crazy nights. And I had to go through a lot of those things to meet Pants, to meet Jeff, to meet him.
Can you tell that I have kids by the examples of names we use?
I like the way you did that. Yeah. No, and it took me a lot to get there.
Yeah.
But when I met him, he had just lost his mom. And I was still going through all my shit. I didn't know how to deal with him losing his mom or even those emotions or how he even processed those emotions. So I always tell people, what do I do with my hands? Exactly. Mm-hmm. What do I do with my hands? What do you do with that? So I wanted to fight him I didn't know how to nurture him because I was never nurtured. When he cried, I didn't know what to say. Suck it up. You're being a baby. Guys don't cry. Bullshit, Marlena. You don't tell that. Men should be able to cry. Yeah. And they should be able to cry to their significant others. They should be able to tell you how they feel. And what did I do? Because of the type of relationship and the type of environment that I was raised, I shut him down. Well, I closed him down, and here he was giving me love.
Well, my tears were what made my wife push for me to get full custody of these kids. So yes, men should cry. I told a buddy of mine one day, he called me and I'm like,
Well,
dude, it's okay to cry, fucker. Get it off.
It's okay to cry.
Cry, bro. Cry. I'm not gonna
Let
hug
it
you.
out.
I'm not gonna hug you because I'm not there. But fucking cry. It is okay to cry.
It's okay to show emotion. That's what men need to understand too. It's okay to show emotion. You don't always have to be macho. You can open the door for a woman and still be kind and still, have a damn good time in bed if that's what you think that is. I mean, if that's what you think that you got to be rude to somebody to have a good time in bed, because I feel like that's all men. I don't even know. I feel like that's where men's head is. They got to be really machismo, or they got to be really good in bed, or they got to have this to show off, or not. I'm telling you, every person I've met, and I've met a lot of people, I've always tried to throw something. Jeff has been the only person, and I'm not without you. You have been kind. I'm not saying that about you. I'm talking about men who I've dated.
Right.
I specifically say men.
Well, because
Jeff
of men,
like
because of men of square pants or Bob. I forgot the names.
Of all those people.
We all get the nice guys get the shittiest. Shitty. Yep.
That's right, and that's what's
shitty
sad.
end of the stick.
That's right, and that's not fair to you, and that's kind of what I did. I gave Jeff the shitty end of the stick. I gave him the ugliest parts of him, and that's why I tell everybody is he had to love me through those ugly parts to get to see me through this beautiful part. And that's what brings me this full circle is now people are seeing this beautiful version of Marlena that they want to be a part of, and I have a wall up now because I know who's inside that, and I know who's been there from day one.
Right.
And we'll talk about. I have a Snapchat account that I always send a lot of these people over to. I'm always venting over there. Always people from back in my day who come on out of nowhere trying to be sugar daddies. All these men who are married, they slide into the DM and they start talking all this mess. And I'm just like, let me educate you, fool. I was like, where you're headed is down the wrong path. And even out of respect for your wife, I'm going to have to call you out, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to have to. And I do that on Snapchat because I think it's unfair. That people, that there are a lot of men who still do that. I kind of went off topic there because I got a little heated for a second in my mind.
Hey, no, it's okay.
But I think what I mean to say is that in all fairness, is that you have honesty, mental health, mental illness is real. As we, from childhood trauma, abuse, and we have to recognize that in our significant others in relationships in the future, whether it's friendships, because we are conditioned, programmed from, we keep that. I guess it's like, what do they say? Monkey see, monkey do. Once it's repetitiveness, it's the only thing and it's hard to change. And when they say, people can't change, guess what? We can't change. Guess what? There is change. Guess what? It is possible. You just have to want to do it. It's a mental state of mind.
I always say, give credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. Because people, you can't throw in my face my past when I haven't acted like that in years. Yeah. So give credit where credit is due. That's what I believe in.
If there's growth, allow me that growth.
Right.
Don't deny me the growth. Allow me the growth. So that's what we're doing here. That's what you and I are doing here, is talking about it, sharing our experiences to allow other people to grow, to be able to talk about mental awareness, being able to break generational curses, to be able to recognize toxic relationships, just by me, not, me even saying that drugs was norm, that's toxic, know that, hey, that's not normal. That your family's totally different. That was not normal. But guess what? My hometown sees it all the time. Right. And guess what? That's not normal. There are other places that do exist that are not like that. There are other families that exist that aren't like that. There are other communities that are bigger than that, want to help. And that's calling those people out, calling those to the front forward and saying, hey, we're asking for help. What can you do to help me? Or maybe not what can you do to help me? What can you say to guide me? Because maybe we're not, because like as we mentioned earlier, Canada, it's expensive. They get free healthcare, but they don't get their mental health is you have to pay for it. Here in the United States, you can get mental health. Yeah, you can call them up and say, I'm crazy, and they'll come and get you. But it doesn't mean that their whole program is for you. Okay. Right. Maybe sometimes we need to be able just to freely talk to a friend or pick up the phone Or maybe we just need to hear somebody else's podcast and be like, that happened to me, and she's surviving, and she's happy because she chose to survive, because she chose to be happy, because she chose to make a change. That's what we need, and that's what we need to do today. And that's what we're doing in the future. And is continue bringing awareness to that type of, what is the word? Not cause awareness.
Share awareness, right?
Share, yeah. And I think that's what we're doing. We're calling everybody, our brothers and sisters, to share their stories and to tell them, hey, guess what? You're not alone, and it is okay.
Right.
And there is an outcome, and we're going to go through a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, you may not be finished just yet, but you have somebody else to talk about it with, to, and you have those people in your circle too. It's just a matter of opening up and speaking to those people.
Some people just need to stop being afraid of the microphone. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Or stop being afraid of the microphone. That's right. I mean, you could. Yeah, that's right. Actually, just turn your camera on and just start recording yourself and talking to yourself and recording a blog, because sometimes just speaking it out, it helps.
Yeah.
I know it does for me.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that that you've been able to use my platform, my podcast, to get stuff off your chest. And like you said, on our side conversations, on our text or on our phone, where you say, you've said things on here that you've never said in the past, and that's what I was telling you earlier. The podcast started off with me getting stuff off my chest to help, other people, to explain to other people what I've been through that is maybe not that bad, what they're going through, to then what my thing was to help others. But you helped me understand that not only am I helping the listeners, I'm helping my guests, because they're also getting stuff off their chest that they've never got off. And like I told you last week, I was like, you're through the little phone. I can't hug you. You're crying and I can't hug you. What do I do with my hands? And so I thank you for opening my eyes, or bringing that to my attention, that not only am I helping we're trying to help our listeners, but I'm also helping my guest.
Of course. Well, you're welcome. I appreciate you. Like I said, I think this whole process has become it's a new experience for the both of us, and we both grew a lot, and I think we learned a lot from each other. And I've said it in the past. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, because I think it's opening doors for the both of us.
It is.
And I think that our friendship is a lifetime, I think, brother. I've got a brother I never had. I tell you that for sure. I feel definitely like I'm talking to a brother. I've never had one, and I think this is what it should feel like.
Well,
right here.
Until now, you're on the Christmas card list, but pissed me off and you're out of it. That was a Scotty reference. For those of you that know Scotty, he would always say, you're off the Christmas card list. So one year, my boys made a Christmas card, handmade Christmas card, and we took it to his grave. And we put, since you love Christmas cards so much, here you go. Marlena, again, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for taking time. And like I end every podcast, thank you for riding with me.
Thank you, Andy. We're still them boys.
We're still them boys.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Andy podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.